Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Hyderabad. I am Dr. Sonal Mobar Roy and we are here to look at the course Social Issues, Policies and Development. We will be talking about Block 5 which focuses on contemporary concerns related to social and human development. Today, we will be looking at Unit 13 that focuses on social exclusion and inclusion, wherein we will be talking about social exclusion in this particular segment. This course is part of Sociology UG second year, semester 3. As students of sociology, we should understand what are the certain factors and indicators that lead to social exclusion and marginalization of certain segments of the society. Why do we have certain development programs and interventions focused only for the tribals, for the marginalized people, for the vulnerable categories, and who are these vulnerable categories? So, as students of sociology, you have to understand the whole process of social exclusion. It is a condition where individuals or groups are unable to participate fully in social, economic, political and cultural life linked to poverty and inequality. The term was first used by René Lenoir in 1974 in France to describe I'll just take it. It is linked to poverty and inequality. The term was first used by René Lenoir in 1974 in France to describe vulnerable and marginalized groups outside welfare systems. The whole impact on development can be seen when exclusion negatively affects social and human development by limiting opportunities and participation. Whose participation are we talking about here? These are the people who are living at the threshold of poverty. They have lack of resources, they have lack of access to resources actually. Excluded groups often lack access to income, employment, education, healthcare, housing and land. They do not have secure livelihoods. They are dependent on government interventions for day-to-day benefits. They do not have access to good healthcare. They do not have access to gaining good nutrition. Their children and other members do not have access to good education. So it's a multifold dimensional thing, and we have to understand why this exclusion is taking place. There is denial of rights and participation. Social exclusion limits people's voice, dignity, decision making power and social interaction when their rights and dignity are not accorded equal respect and protection. You recall I gave an example of a Gram Sabha. In reality, if you are witnessing a Gram Sabha, and if you are observant enough, you will see why certain people are very dominant when they are voicing their concerns, voicing their perspectives, while there is a group of people who are very meek or very shy in voicing their issues. They are very hesitant, their body language is different. So you see a very dynamic situation of power, and you understand as a student of sociology why this is taking place. Why is there not a equal platform which is envisaged in the form of Gram Sabha? So this is where you see the whole play of social exclusion taking place. There is feeling of alienation. It creates inferiority, marginalization and social isolation among affected groups. If people are not well educated, if they are not completely confident, they are not well dressed as per the situation, they feel shy, they feel insecure, they have a fear of condemnation. So these are certain issues that lead to feeling of alienation. Then what are the basis of exclusion? Factors such as age, gender, disability, caste, ethnicity, religion, migration status and socioeconomic background contribute to exclusion per se. So these are certain factors, and you can see an individual can actually have multiple factors that lead to his or her social exclusion in the social framework. Then let us look quickly at some of the definitions for social exclusion. From the WHO perspective, social exclusion is a multi-dimensional process caused by unequal power relations affecting economic, political, social and cultural participation. From Thorat's viewpoint, it involves denial of equal opportunities to certain groups, limiting their participation in society. Then Levitas et al. Define social exclusion as multidimensional, dynamic, and broader than poverty, affecting access to rights, resources, and social participation. Our most celebrated scholar Amartya Sen puts across his views and calls social exclusion as both exclusion from opportunities and unequal inclusion, distinguishing between active and passive exclusion, which ultimately limits people's capabilities, participation, and quality of life. As students of sociology, you should be able to understand these factors in depth and try and gauge in real life what exactly are the factors that lead to social exclusion of certain marginalized sections. Social exclusion therefore results from structural inequalities and is often involuntary in nature. It is something that you cannot actually control, but as a student of sociology, it is suggested that you address these issues and ensure that things are normalized and people do not feel marginalized in real sense. At this point, it is imperative to understand the multidimensional nature of social exclusion. It includes poverty, unemployment, poor living conditions, and limited access to education, healthcare, childcare, information, and social participation. Causes of exclusion may exist at national, community, household, or individual levels. Then we have the European Union, which developed the 18 indicators to measure social exclusion systematically. So there are different benchmarks, different factors, different categorizations to understand the nature of social exclusion, which is multidimensional in nature. The key dimensions measured include financial poverty, employment, health, and education, and these are the major factors leading to one's exclusion from the mainstream population. At this point, we should also look at the life domain approach, which was put forth by Heedy, and it talks about an approach on measures that capture participation in society. There are 7 life domains for the measurement of social exclusion according to this approach, which focus on material resources, employment, education and skills, health and disability, social factors, community relations, and personal safety. So all in all, you can see it's a multi-dimensional, multi-pronged approach wherein one's employment, access to healthcare, access to education are all leading to one's degraded quality of life. And then when we are talking about human development, we have to focus on better quality of life. So can we bridge these gaps? Can we bring out certain interventions that address these issues and reduce social exclusion? Then let us look at what all we have discussed up till now and try and understand that we have to have a people-centered development, whereas the focus is on improving people's capabilities and choices. And then we should have better resources, opportunities, rights and participation leading to better participation of the marginalized people. We should have in hand an approach that reduces structural barriers such as discrimination, poverty, geographical isolation, language, and unsupportive policies. Finally, we should focus on need for inclusion, wherein social exclusion reduces opportunities and participation. Therefore, inclusive development is essential for social and human progress. In the coming segment, we will now focus on social inclusion. Thank you.